Welcome, Barbara Lamb. Welcome to our big Omni exclusive interview with you. How are you doing today?
Fine. Happy to be with you again.
Oh gosh, you have such good energy. Always so nice to see you and such a pleasure to be with you. We, like you said, had a conversation before, and if anyone's interested in that conversation, please check it out. It's an incredible interview where we talked about ET, dimensions, and also a lot about your regression therapy that you've done over the years. Yes. This time we supposed to be very, very special to talk about. We're going to be focusing on purposes and finding your purpose and answering questions, some of the biggest questions that I think a lot of people have, Barbara? Like, what is my purpose? And where do I go from here? Who should I be with? And is there an earth purpose versus a cosmic purpose? And can we integrate those? So we have a lot of exciting things to talk about today.
We do.
We really do. Yeah.
I think it's very important because, people are here in a lifetime, and it is very special to be here from sources that communicate with me. I've learned that there are masses of souls lining up, waiting for the chance to come into another lifetime. They like to have the physical on earth experience. And some of them come in because they really want to take care of something that they did in a past life that did not go well, was not a good choice, and they want to come in and set that straight. Sometimes people come in just simply to have a different kind of experience than they have had in their previous lifetimes. I never have had a lifetime in which I was very wealthy and had all of those privileges and could go anywhere I wanted. Or sometimes they come in just simply to have a life of rest.
That sounds nice.
Yeah. There's nothing dramatic happening in any way at all, no huge challenges, no infirmities.
Wow. May we all be incarnated until we get to that.
There's sort of another perspective on all this that
Yeah.
it could be, and I think it is, that some people come in just to be a horrible example for other people. Like that.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, give it to us just the way it is, Barbara. Just the way it is. Isn't that the case? I think we all know someone like that or have known someone like that on our path.
Oh, of a lot of them, right? Even if we
Yeah.
don't know them personally.
Sounds like too, like sometimes people don't even know the kind of life that they've entered, because you said there's a lot of souls trying to get in.
Yeah.
And we come here and we have this great amnesia episode. We don't know why we came here, where we came from, or what we're supposed to be doing. But then it sounds like they get to meet you, who are an incredible regression therapist, incredible person, and you give them a lot of clarity on the purpose of why their soul came here in the first place. And that's what I guess we're all hoping today, is to get so much more clarity on our purpose. And sometimes we are already living our purpose, or we're in that seat, like you're saying. We just need someone to like validate it or look at it, right? That's sometimes what it comes down to. Talk about your passions and purposes. One of your many purposes here on earth, one of them, or I should say two of the many, is an author and a speaker. And you have written some incredible books, and you have a new book that's out, and it's a children's book, and it's so amazing. And can you tell us about it?
That children who have extraterrestrial experiences usually don't have anybody to talk to about them. And of course, they don't know what they are. They have visits by unusual beings, but they don't know what they're called, and they don't know that there is a phenomenon of being visited by extraterrestrial beings. The child so often feels discredited,
Right.
often sort of insulted, and certainly not heard, not believed,
Mhm.
realize that this is happening most likely for millions of people, many millions in the whole world. There was a whole collection of regressions.
Mhm.
Uh, we put those in the book. Mary illustrated them
They're accurate.
to open up conversations about it.
And there's even a scenario, it looks like maybe some hybrid scenarios too in the book.
Definitely.
Yeah, because you did a lot of work or a lot of regression therapy and just documentation around hybrids. So I love that that made it into this book too.
We don't have too much indication that I know of anyway yet about hybrid children playing and sitting in a circle on a floor and learning to do some amazing things, to use their minds only to move objects, and especially when they're allowed to talk about it.
Yes. Oh, this book is incredible because it does, like you said, give children a platform to talk openly about their experiences. Yeah, in your heart and your soul, you really believe that regression therapy is your purpose. Like, what were you thinking about these things when you first got into it? Where was your mind?
When I was a very young child,
Yeah.
I was looking around at my community, which was a very affluent community in Long Island, New York, and everybody said, "Oh, you are so privileged to live in this, financially affluent community." And anytime anybody said something like that, I appreciated where I was. It was a very nice place, but I always had the feeling from a very young age that I wanted to somehow be helpful to people. I didn't care about that materialism,
Yes.
and I didn't know how I would be helpful to people.
Probably felt a little stumped at that point. You're like, okay, what do I
Okay,
do next?
I don't know how I'll do it, but we'll see.
Yeah.
My college education and got married and had children and was raising children and discovering all kinds of wonderful things during those years. And one of them was to become a therapist. So I went to graduate school, became a licensed therapist. And then it was several years after that, an experience I had in 1983, Dr. Helen Wambach. At the end of the workshop, she said, if anybody would like it, I can regress you to your soul state of being just before coming into this lifetime.
I'd like that. I want that.
Oh, I want to.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I did want to. And that was a very major experience. And immediately, without a moment's hesitation, what I saw was that I was coming in to show people how it really is. Those were the words going through my head.
Oh, powerful.
There's this whole huge spirit realm of souls. And then
Mhm.
we come from, and we come in for different reasons, different purposes. And not only was this huge realm of human souls, but behind that, behind me, I knew there was a realm of many other kinds of souls.
Oh, goosebumps.
Why are we here? So it just kind of unfolded and rewarding to me whenever somebody I'm aware of is interested in this sort of thing, recognizing that we have past lives, which I had not grown up at all with that idea. And but I had these spontaneous experiences in other countries, notably Egypt and Peru. Really strong memory come up of having been there,
Yes.
being in that particular location. I sobbed for 2 hours, and the memory of that whole lifetime kept coming up more and more. And so then I realized after that one, especially, that maybe this could somehow be used therapeutically.
Well, yeah, I mean, you had a full-on experience.
Yeah.
Were you stunned by that experience? Had you ever had an experience like that before where you were in a spot, you had a extreme memory and you
Yes.
had like an emotional response?
I had about 8 of them before that.
Oh my gosh.
'Cause I went
Yeah,
to
you must have felt like, okay, what do I do with all these amazing gifts and talents? Like, how is this all going to come together?
the gift, I think.
Yeah.
And
And so you had this experience and you thought, well, maybe this could be therapeutic.
yeah, especially when it involves a tragedy,
Yeah.
like that if a tragedy happened in a past life, very likely something about that tragedy is going to carry over into this life because it's the same soul
Yes.
life that
Yeah. And there's like, is there like emotional residue that moves with the soul?
an emotional residue.
Yeah. That's hard.
So sometimes there are specific issues, like a very common one might be a person has a phobia of heights or water or cold or whatever. And if we do a regression to the source of that particular phobia, it always so far has taken us back to a lifetime that that person had, um, a lifetime in which they actually died in that kind of situation that they have a phobia about now.
Yep.
Do what I call a clearing, releasing, healing process at the end of that regression to really just let go of that on all the layers now that we understand where it came from.
Yes.
Yeah,
Feel. Let's talk
yeah,
a little bit about your experience with ET encounters in terms of regression therapy, because you're doing past lives and then something happens, and that's kind of an interesting story, and you move into a whole new realm of your practice. Go
yes.
ahead and tell us about that. That's really cool.
Okay, well, first of all, I have to say that any mention of anything like a UFO or spacecraft or other kind of being
Yeah,
extraterrestrial, um, I didn't think there was any reality to that at all.
you're a big skeptic back then.
If there were some kind of life out there and it could come here. Now, I didn't think there was that, but I thought, wouldn't
Famous
that
last words.
still had no inkling whatsoever that there really is life out there in space and very intelligent life, and it can come here.
Right.
5th year of uh, past life regression training
Mm-hmm.
was 1988. The trainer said, those of you who are doing regression therapy need to know that it could happen sometime that somebody will come to you with a complaint that they had been visited by some very strange beings and taken away for a while.
Initial reaction to hearing something like that at the conference?
So I was amazed. I was having cognitive dissonance, like, but
Won't
the,
compute, won't go in.
yeah, the most significant part of that experience was that right after she said that, and I was sort of shocked. What is she talking about? And then there was a big voice in my head, loud, clear, pay attention to this, Barbara.
Oh, interesting.
Looking for material about UFOs and people's experiences. And then by 1991, I suddenly felt ready. You know,
Yeah.
if anybody comes to me for that particular reason, I don't think they will.
Keeps growing, the number.
Oh, sure. It's probably been more like 3,000 people.
Memberships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One lady
Yeah.
came 65 different regressions, all
Oh, wow.
extraterrestrial. Like recently, there were came, and he said that throughout his childhood, he kept thinking that there was a dinosaur on the other side of the fence. Well, what it turned out to be in the regression was that he had been having experiences since age 5, now and then, with reptilian.
Oh, okay.
Now, sometimes they'll say to the person, "We have a message for Barbara," and then they'll turn their attention to me.
Tapping them to come in. So
Yeah.
they're actually there.
Well, it certainly seems like it.
That's amazing.
And, about a month ago now, I was regressing a woman, and then they said, "Okay, Barbara, we want to talk to you."
Your
And,
stomach drops. You're like, okay, I'm ready.
and of course, this is coming through the mouth of the person who's being regressed.
Right.
They said, "We know that when you were a young child, you saw your first picture of one of the moai on Easter Island is a living being." But I just knew that they were not made by people. They were made by somebody else.
Intuition was really strong even back then.
We appreciate the compassion that you had for the fallen statues, the fallen moai. Some of them had toppled over.
Mhm.
Anyway, these beings, for goodness sake, knew that, right?
And your kind didn't know this about you. Did your
Mm.
mind melt? Mine would have melted. I've been like, whoa, kind of to give you that validation, like, yes, we're watching, yes, we're listening. We want to appreciate you back for all the work that you've been doing.
Yes, it
Is
seems
that
like
how it felt?
sometimes the messages from them when this sort of thing happens have been, we really appreciate your letting more people in the world know about our existence and our part in your lives.
Did you
Yes.
ever worry along the way that it wasn't going to work out?
No, because
Oh. Okay, we got to all learn to trust like you.
it just got incorporated along with my regular
It
psychotherapy.
got it, yeah, integrated.
So it just started to grow without my intending it or realizing it. It seemed like it just happened.
Oh my
But,
goodness.
but
That's
as the
so amazing.
people in my own family, they don't particularly think about things like this unless I bring it up.
Is that hard to not be able to talk about this with people in your family?
But a couple of the grandchildren have asked.
But I'm
And
sure a lot of people watching can understand how they may feel kind of like the outsider within their family pod.
yes,
Do you think that's interesting? I mean, when you're doing these kind of regressions, do people ever bring that up? Like I feel like an outsider in my family and I don't know why. I feel like I was
yes,
implanted into the wrong family.
so many,
So
so
many. Yeah. Isn't that fascinating?
almost everybody. But the thing is, for me, a saving grace has been that I've gotten to know so many other people whom I can talk to.
Things started rocking and rolling for you. Like people just started coming through the door and it grew and grew and grew.
Yeah,
And then it kind of was this validation that, yeah, I had a feeling that I'd be in service to people. Did you feel like that? Like, this is what I'm going to do.
it's not planned.
It's a
Yeah.
perfect segue into talking more about purposes, our purposes, like why we're here, how to find it, how to do it. So before we dive into answering some really great questions, let's do some level setting and say, like, what is a purpose? If someone comes to you and say, I want to find my purpose, how do you define that in your mind when you're helping them?
What do you feel drawn to?
Oh, okay.
Really excites you? And I don't mean just for the moment, but over a period of time. What do
Mhm.
you find that, what do you notice that you're particularly drawn to, either to doing or to knowing more about? Done many, many regressions, especially in the last several years and currently. More and more people are coming for that very reason. Why am I here? What is my purpose? What's it all about for me?
Mhm.
And regressions can, their higher knowing, their higher self, their soul wisdom
Mhm.
of the regression, giving them perspective and information that they want about their purpose. Get validation.
Yes.
I've had so many people come to me who used to do regular work in a company, a corporation, a business,
Yeah.
and in some cases doing very well, like really climbing up the management ladder,
Hmm.
quote unquote successful career. And then along the way, they have quite suddenly switched.
But it sounds like you trusted the process, and that's probably a big process for people when they make such a big shift.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
is a conflict being a spiritual enhanced being on this planet, doing your calling and still having a human life.
Yes.
And that's why people probably come to you a lot, because they're like, well, maybe I've discovered my purpose or I don't know what it is, but it's like, how do I do it? If I find out what it is, what's my next step? How do I make it happen?
And how can I balance that?
How can I balance my calling and my human life?
My human life, which is expensive.
It really is, Barbara. It's really
It
expensive. My
sounds like
goodness. Not
it,
easy. Not easy. So people will come to you and they will either be validated with their purpose, find their purpose through you. And it's almost like, do you feel like you're creating an integration for them with either their soul, extraterrestrial guide, or their spiritual guide? Because it sounds like these messages have been coming through the whole time, but they were maybe blocked until they come to you, and then it's all released.
they hear themselves saying what they're aware of in the regret thing because they have to say it out loud. So
Yeah.
I can,
So you went, yeah, you're like, you gotta talk to me.
oh, that's great. Okay, now I really know I'm on the right path, or now I really know I need to change
Mm-hmm.
what I'm doing for a living and be on the right
We're on the
path.
right path. Do
Yeah.
a lot of people come to you with the question of what is my purpose? Can you help me?
For instance, one lady in the regression, she saw herself just walking through a supermarket, just walking by the other people with her finest frequency.
Oh.
Frequency reaches out and touches these other people
Mm-hmm.
for them to have a higher frequency.
So her frequency tunes other frequencies, other people's frequencies. That's her purpose.
Yes.
She's a good vibe machine.
Yeah.
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 She would have never figured that out without your regression therapy.
Why she's here.
That's amazing.
She has a special frequency.
Do you think that the extraterrestrials or the intelligent beings are teaching people how to be a healer on some kind of subconscious level? Is there some kind of connection there with healers?
Question. Yes, in many cases, I think that's true.
Yeah.
Also, in many cases, the beings are encouraging the person here to take training for it.
Fascinating.
And in one case, a woman was on a spaceship. The reptilian being from behind her and behind the chair had his hands around on her temples,
Mm-hmm.
extra energy for the healing work that you can do on Earth.
Ooh, chills.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And he stopped. He lowered the intensity.
To give them guidance, support.
When they give up their really high paying job
Yes.
and go into this, and they're very dedicated to it, they find that the money that they need does come.
Mm.
Like even if they don't charge for their healing, they find that there are certain people who will come who are very happy to give abundant donations.
Yeah.
So many people now whom I'm meeting because they come to me and they're getting messages, not only about their life purpose, but about various aspects.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly aspects of their development or their understanding of reality, or understanding of the universe, and they get it sometimes in dreams, or they get it when just walking outside or doing the dishes, or
The final session is like, well, okay, well, what do I do with all this? Like all this information that I have.
right.
Right.
Very often they will be inspired
Yeah.
going to sleep at night,
Mm-hmm.
that in between state when you're relaxing and you're just sort of fading away from
Into sleep.
that
Would you
state.
say that's like the sweet spot of regression therapy? That state?
That state is perfectly good
Yeah.
for regression therapy. A remarkable number of people who've come to me and said, well, I tried hypnosis once, or I tried regression 10 years ago, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't get anything. So I don't know if I can be hypnotized.
You're like, let me try. Challenge
Well,
accepted, right, Barbara?
one of those
Yeah.
people come and
Yeah.
they have been successful,
Yeah.
you know, and rather than looking back on it as a past experience,
Mm-hmm.
it's much more effective to have the sense of reliving it.
Mm-hmm.
That the subconscious part of the mind records absolutely everything that we do, feel, experience, say, even those things that we were not consciously aware of.
On the subconscious, and you're bringing it to the conscious part of the brain.
Yes.
Do you think that if people really remembered these experiences, whether it's like uncovering their purpose or an ET encounter, and they actually were present and available and aware, do you think they'd have a traumatic like experience towards it, emotional experience?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So is it better that it gets stored away in the subconscious and then we uncover it in a very safe environment with regression therapy? Do you think that's better?
It's better, it's easier and
Yeah.
better for the person,
Yeah.
also for the beings who
Okay. Who are
that
trying to help. It sounds like they're trying to support someone on their path. That's why they're coming.
they're I feel that none of the beings are coming to harm people or to be mean or to be frightening or anything, but they do know that they are frightening
Mm-hmm.
us humans because we're not used to them. In many cases, the human hasn't even been aware that such a thing exists.
Can people ask for help with their purpose, healing, or anything?
Usually, in the cases that I know about, um, they haven't asked. The beings already know.
That's beautiful.
Once they get talking like that, then sometimes the beings address larger issues like what the person is doing in life or how that person is living his or her life.
Right. Their
Because
purpose. Thank you so much. What a wonderful talk. Thank you for helping all of us find our purpose and discovering it. So people can reach out to you for regression therapy if it comes to past lives, ET encounters, purposes, or just to get more clarity on the reality of life. You said it so beautifully. Is there anything else you'd love to tell our cosmic audience before we part ways?
well, just to keep having an open mind. So much that's coming into our awareness nowadays about UFOs, about other beings, about other dimensions of reality, about energies, frequencies, so many things that we are and may not have been aware of. And I think that with all the difficulties and troubles going on in the world currently, as they always have been, but I think especially now, um, that it really helps to be aware of this larger reality of who we are as individuals, that we're ongoing, continuing conscious souls. That there's just so much more to reality and so much more that we each will be experiencing
Wait.
this particular lifetime.
Thank you so much. What a beautiful message. To stay open, stay loving, and look up to the stars, ask for help in messages, and come to you for regression therapy. Make sense of all these amazing experiences that we have on earth together and also with our own soul and self. Thank you so much. Oh, mwah. Always so good to talk to you, and we will talk soon. Thank you so much, Barbara Lamb.
Wonderful to talk to you, and
Thank you.
appreciate what you are doing here.
I appreciate what you're doing. It's a love fest, and we'll talk very soon. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Blessings to you all.